Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Can you all hear me? Okay. My name is Wole Ayodele. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Fincra, and I'm here to discuss a topic I'm very passionate about, and that's building the rails for an integrated Africa. So this is a story and a journey of hope and of liberation. Yeah, sorry, I think the wrong slides, so I'll need to get the updated slides, please.
This is Fincra, where Africa is our motivation. Our mission is to build a fund.
Okay, so I've been asked to start with all my slides. So I'd just like us to listen very keenly as due to some technical issues. I'd like us to listen keenly because I think this is a very important message that I have to share. And just telling you in advance, I'm going to end with a call to join this mission. So like I said, I'm about to take us on a journey of hope and liberation, right? Which is like linked to the topic, building the rails for an integrated Africa. So the problem that we many times try to answer is why? Why do we have issues of interoperability in Africa? Why do we have issues with policy alignments across African countries? Why is ECOWAS not working? Why is African Union not working? And the great answer to this question lies in the structural creation of Africa. I'll take us back to 1884, the Berlin Conference. Many of us know about the Berlin Conference. And the very interesting thing that happened there is, Africa today is the only continent that exists that was created to be divided. Right, so a couple of guys sat on a table. I'll take this part, I'll take this part. We'll carve this place this way, we'll carve it this way. So unlike a lot of other countries or continents that just existed, there was an intentionality to create division in Africa. And this is one of the problems that we spent the last 200 years trying to solve. So just taking a deeper look into this problem, right, is why have our traditional solutions not solved the problems? What kind of solutions am I referring to? Government initiatives. There's always one thing or the other. There's Africa Free Trade Union, AFCTA, there's PAPS that's been designed. There are so many policy conversations that has gone about. We've had even people like Thomas Sankara and a lot of great Africans that have pushed for this Pan-Africanism, integrated Africa. But all government initiatives have failed. How about aid? We are very big beneficiaries of aid in Africa. But as we've seen, even in the past few days, just with the stroke of a pen, right, aid can immediately be taken out of this continent. But even before this happened, let's ask ourselves the important question: how much has aid really helped Africa? How about charity, charitable organizations, NGOs that helps to address symptoms of the problems, but never actually fix the problem? I define it as toxic charity. Why has charity not solved Africa's problem? But some people would say we have a young population in Africa. 70% of the people are under 30. Amazing. If we can educate Africans, we are going to solve the problem of Africa. But why hasn't that worked so far? Because first of all, let's think about how expensive it is to offer quality education. Look at the cost of fees in places like Harvard, MIT. Look at the endowment budgets of some of these countries. So not only is it so expensive to deliver quality education, you cannot educate a hungry man. Like we all know, a hungry man is an angry man. You can't take someone in maybe northern Nigeria on the streets that hasn't eaten for 2 days and tell them, I'll take you to school and this will be the solution of Africa's problem. Education in itself alone cannot solve Africa's problem. So the question truly is, what then is the foundation for true liberation for Africa? Right, so I believe that Africa's liberation would only come from economic independence. Only economic independence can solve Africa's problem, not aid, not charity, not government initiatives, not even education. And if we look at it, what are these, what does it take to achieve this economic independence? Of course, we know about trade. Trade for almost every nation is the source of the wealth of nations. Nations grow through trade. But if you look at the division of trade across most continents, you see that across Europe, North America, South America, about 60 to 70% of the trade happens within the continents. However, in Africa, only about 13 to 14% of our trade is within Africa. So solving this trade problem, intra-Africa trade, is one of the keys to our liberation. How about shared infrastructure development? What are we doing together as a continent to solve some of the teething issues that we come to conferences like this to discuss, right? How about a unified monetary and economic policy for the continent? Is there truly a policy to unify Africa's economy? Is there anything around us working together towards one shared goal? How about borderless mobility for citizens? How easy is it for an African to move from one country to another? But what we have seen is that beyond even all of these solutions, there is one thing that we actually need to solve this problem, the power of one, I would call it. And I think that that is love. We believe that transformation would only begin when, as individuals and a collective, we become propelled by love, love for Africa. Because at the end of the day, if there is no love for Africa, it's very easy for me to wake up one morning and say, I would like to, stay somewhere else that is nice. Because it's not easy to solving this problem. So there must be love for us to actually make any impact towards solving this problem of integration. And again, like I said, this is a call to mission for everyone here, because everybody in this room, everybody in this continent is a big part of solving this. Liberation requires all hands. Liberation requires all hands. Sorry, please, I'll control the slides from here. Thank you very much. So as citizens, we need to become active participants in economic integration. It's not about waiting for some governor, some president. There is no messiah. Peter Obi is not going to solve Africa's problems. It's not going to solve Nigerian problems. It's we, the builders. The young people driving innovation and cultural exchange. Business leaders investing in cross-border initiatives within Africa, and this relates to Africans and even people from outside Africa, real investments in cross-border business across Africa. And then, of course, our beautiful diasporas that have gone to do exploits outside of Africa, contributing their skills and their resources towards developing Africa. And this is why I say it's only love, because these things are not easy. It requires love for us to make this sacrifice. And like I said, together, I would call all of us Fincrans, right? And what does it mean to be an Fincran? There's a wordplay there with our name. And it means to be an anti-fragile African. So if we think about the context or the concept of anti-fragility, it's about falling and getting stronger. And that is the story of Africa. And that is the story of Fincra. And that is the Fincra story. So this is not a mere identity. This is not a mere play on words. It's an identity formed from resilience, from innovation, and love for Africa. Because through Fincra's financial empowerment and the resilience and the adaptability of Africa's business, we believe that the Fincran vision can solve this problem. So again, what is the Fincran vision? What is our vision at Fincra? And the vision is very simple: to bring hope and liberation to every African. So this word Fincran actually reflects Fincra's deep commitment towards solving this problem in Africa. And I'm here to tell you that this is not just a Fincran vision. If you believe in this vision for Africa, if you are building anything to solve Africa's problem, I'm here to tell you that you are an Fincran too. Why do we believe in this vision? Because this vision is built on African solutions, specifically tailored for Africa's challenges. This is not just another scheme to be the next billion-dollar company. This is not about the next fundraise. This is coming from a point of love to really solve these problems. We are also focused on sustainable economic integration. What does it mean to integrate Africa sustainably? To solve this problem of trade, to make it easy to move money from point A to point B, anywhere across Africa, and to connect Africa to the rest of the world. And like I said, we are not driven by love. We are not driven by profits. We are driven by love. By love for Africa. Because if profit is the motivation, the next easy thing for us to do is to, open our rails in Latin America, go to Southeast Asia. But that's not what this is about. It is love to solve this problem in Africa. Like I said, this is a call to everyone here who believes in the African vision, right? And that vision of collective prosperity, not just prosperity for me, my family, collective prosperity for every one of us, for Malawi, for Zimbabwe, for Nigeria, for DRC, for Ethiopia. So what are the practical steps towards making this integration a reality? First step is to build financial rails for integrated Africa. And I'll come to these rails. Why the rails? What does it mean to build financial rails for integrated Africa? What does it mean to create borderless payment system and FX rails for Africa? How does this help us solve this problem? Why do we need to establish cross-border trade networks for Africa? And to answer this question, we have to just take a learning from history, from a visionary, one of the greatest I ever lived, Henry Ford. He had a vision for every American home to have a car. This was a vision because he realized how these cars would improve the lives of Americans. But for him to achieve this vision, one key thing needed to be solved, one key problem. How do I get the cars from this factory here to every single home in Africa, in America? The simple answer was rails had to be built. Because it was those rails that connected America, and that was the foundation for the economic prosperity that generated development in the steel industry, that catalyzed the building and construction industry, the mining industry, due to these rails that were built. So you can almost say one man, Henry Ford, his vision was one of the key points of transformation of the American economy. By doing what? By building rails. This created standardized time zones and sparked the commerce transformation that we saw in America. This also made it easy for mass production to happen in one point and for distribution across the country to exist. And then this also connected communities and resources across different distances in the country. So bringing this back home, like we said, our engine to building our rails in Africa is love. Without love for Africa, we can't do anything. Because again, we have seen people that have been trapped in economic isolation. You look at an American or you look at an African, with the American having maybe LTV of $2,000, a Nigerian having LTV of $40. The easy thing is to go and chase the $2,000 revenue, right? But love is what will make you take that sacrifice and truly build for Africa. Love for the potential that we have as Africans. Because these rails are not just built for profits, but they are built for freedom, our economic freedom as a continent. Because the rails, like we have seen in the case of America, becomes the veins for our economic liberation, right? This is what will transform isolated communities into interconnected nations, not just Nigeria, South Africa here, but one Africa. And I say this to all of us here that I believe are Fincrans. We are the ones to carry this torch, right? Because of this same love for the human potential, because of this same vision of economic freedom for our dear continent, Africa. And because we know that we're in a digital world and our own rails might not be the tracks from Nigeria to Kenya, but digital rails to ensure that money and value can always move from one point to another point seamlessly. That an investor sitting down in New York can think about how they can bring money into Africa, take it out without having to line on a queue from a central bank to get their dollars, right? That Africa's economic heartbeats can beat as one, right? And in this world where every global superpower is turning towards nationalism, everyone is trying to protect their own, thinking America first, UK first, Italy first. We have to think Africa first. And in thinking Africa first, like I said, there's only one way to achieve this, and it's to achieve this integration through the power of love. Like I said to us again, this is a call to joining our mission, and is a movement towards changing Africa's story, not just another interesting speech, right? It is to move from the division that's been created from the Berlin legacy to true unity, not the unity that African Union is preaching. It's to move from dependency to self-reliance, depending on one world power, one other country for us to achieve, but for us to be able to achieve all our goals, relying on each other as Africa, to move from isolation to integration, and to move from a state of abject poverty to shared prosperity. I'll just quote wise words from some people that have existed. Say the world is waiting for something new to come from the underdeveloped people. It is waiting for them to bring about a transformation for the world. The world is waiting for us. They have been waiting. And it is for us to answer this call. Because each generation must discover its mission, fulfill it, betray it in relative opacity. And I tell you this today, our mission today is to build the rails for an integrated Africa. Because until that is built, there's nothing else that we can do that will truly solve this problem. Like I said, who is the world waiting for? Every single one of us in this room, every single one of us that cares about the African vision, the Fincran vision, right? Everyone that believes that the rails of integration is what we need to build. Everyone that believes that love is truly the fuel to solve Africa's problem. And people who believe that the transformation of Africa or the transformation of Africa is our destiny, right? And I would like to join us, for everyone else to join us to answer this call. Thank you very much.